Welcome everybody, I'm Joshino, and today I'm going to talk about the Lawbreakers and what I was able to play at the launch event that was just a few days ago in LA. Basically, loads of content creators came together and Twitch streamers brought over by the Lawbreakers team, and we played some games on the pretty much going gold version of Lawbreakers, so the final version that's going to go up when it launches on August 8th. Today I'm going to talk about the new role, the new maps, and the new game modes. Anyway, if anyone hasn't heard of Lawbreakers before, and I did actually stream this quite a while ago in the closed beta, and well, a lot of people seem to like it, is that the sort of the lore of the game, what makes it a bit special, is that the world's gone through a big changing event, the Shattering, and the current maps take place in the future America, and its landscapes are where Lawbreakers is really unique, as it has pockets and areas of maps that go into low gravity, and basically allows you to hop around and use lots of ability skills and really shakes things up in the shooting realm. One thing a lot of people brought up on the stream when I did it, where they were making comparisons to Overwatch. It's hard to say that this is actually anything like a hero shooter like Paladins or Overwatch are. Here there are roles, and these each have abilities, but on the two sides of the lore and the breakers, visually they have separate characters for each role. So the heroes are kind of more customizations. It's more of a class-based arena shooter, but again, it does have some flavors of what hero shooters do offer in the fact that they've got abilities. Anyway, the background out of the way, let's get on with it. So the new role that they're adding is called Harrier. This Harrier is split into the two characters. First off, Sunshine, who is apparently born in Birmingham, which actually ironically I flew off from to go to the Lawbreakers event, Birmingham Airport. The accent in this game is kind of more of a stereotypical British accent, because a Birmingham accent or a Brummie accent is very thick and has the Black Country accent, and I would like to try and imitate it right now, but I know I'd completely kill it. The second one is called Baron, and this is a dude that's fighting for a faction called the Lifers, which when you play the game and you hear his voice packs, he's making reference to the Lifers. He's like, Lifers! But the way he says it is like, Belt-a-loader! That's a reference from the Belters in The Expanse. Plus, Cliffy B, who did take the talk, did say there was a big inspiration for the world and took some inspiration from part of the novel and this idea of the gravitational fighting with gunplay. I don't actually think that part of the novel has been covered yet by the series, or it might have been skipped over. And I don't want to spoil anything about The Expanse, but it's incredible if you haven't seen it and you like sci-fi, just as a little side note. Anyway, Harrier's main weapon is a particle beam, and does have an ammunition pool and requires you to reload, but it does have a fairly long fire time and big magazine. Laser batteries? Not sure exactly how to phrase that one. The alternate fire with this weapon shoots out a dart type thing to mark your targets, and what it does is it decreases the enemy's defenses and makes them more vulnerable to your and your allies' damage focus on them, basically like a damage buff. This is the start of one of their more supporting roles that they can play in sort of focusing down targets that you want your allies to take down as quickly as possible if you hit them with this mark. The Raycaster boots are the mobility skill, and basically it allows you to jet around the map directionally, and basically because of this it makes you extremely mobile, but also gives you extreme control on this character. And I found the pairing of being able to move around with the control and also be able to move up while someone else tries to readjust their aim to you, and the constant damage you can do from your weapon lets you keep up the stream of damage whilst dodging a lot of fire, so it gives you a little bit of an upper hand there. One downside with a weapon, and why actually a lot of the time you'll be using your movement to get closer to people, is there does seem to be some form of damage drop off going on, and also getting headshots does a lot more damage to your enemies, so you want to be able to make sure that you get off your damage. Even though it's pinpoint precise, you kind of want to be a bit closer up, getting right in the faces, but then using your ability skill to dance around them whilst you hit them with your laser, and also your damage buff dart. Another ability she has is a supercharger, and this is a station that you put down, and what it does is it produces a boost that regens both your health and your fuel, or an ally's who picks it up. Although it does seem that this is more of a supportive ability, I've often found that it allows you as Harrier to keep staying alive longer and frying enemies with your laser, and basically giving you an extra health pool, and also the boost helps a lot too. So after you put it down, it will spawn more boosts for your allies, or if you come back to one, and it did seem to be a good idea to put down one in an area where you think a fight might happen in the future, but also making sure you have one ready to throw down in a fight so that you've got that extra sustain. One thing worth mentioning is you can destroy these health stations So if you see an enemy one, you want to take it out as fast as possible so the enemies haven't got any chance to heal or keep up their duel longer against you, which you'll be wanting to do yourself. Finally, the mega special ability is Beam Convergence. This is a lot like an ultimate, and basically what you do is become the Death Star of the Lawbreakers arena. It does a huge damage and is pinpoint accurate with the beam. The only downside of this is you slowly rise up as you fire this weapon. So I did find that it works best either outdoors to get a good view of the engagement, or in a room where there's a lower level below you and a roof to stop you going up, but you can shoot down into another room. Another downside is that you are still vulnerable whilst you're firing this beam, so it's not as good to use if you're already in an engagement and are hurt, as you'll just get focused down before it can do any damage. It seems best used when enemies don't know where you are or are distracted and you can focus them down before they can react to you. This ability is pretty bonkers and fun to use, but I can't say being toasted was too much of a happy experience when I was facing off against the Harriers on the enemy team. But you just need to focus them down as quickly as possible if you hear that beam going on, and it's pretty obvious where it's coming from once it's been started because it's a massive beam. All in all, Harrier was very fun to play, has some elements of supporting the team, focusing damage bonuses and picking out targets, but also healing and refueling, which can self-sustain and also be a tool for your allies. Plus, her damage capabilities are pretty good, especially paired with the capabilities of her movement with her Raycaster boots, and when you've got that dart that gives the extra damage bonus on enemies. Although it can feel a bit more piddly at range, and if you're not getting the headshots, so you need to be getting on that. There are also 2 new game modes in this release version. UPLINK, which basically takes the battery mode from before and makes it less punishing. Why so? The past version in Overcharge, basically you charged up a battery that you stole from the middle and you charged it in your base, but the enemy team could steal that battery and they get all the charge that you charged up yourself. So it was quite frustrating if the enemy team took it when it was like almost at 100% and took it back to their base and then won. Here what happens in UPLINK, you basically take the UPLINK from the center like you do with the battery and charge it up in your base, but the charge that you get is separate from the enemy charge. So say you take the UPLINK at the start of the game, you take it to your base, you get it to 50%, the enemy takes it and gets to their base, it's still on 0% for them. There are still some tactics, like there's an overtime for before the point actually counts when you have these uplinks, so there's a bit of tension there. But the thing is, I did talk to some of the other streamers and content creators there, and some of them did say that they preferred the idea of having that last minute push and being able to completely throw off the enemy, and the tactics of being able to take something when it's already been charged by the enemy team. I do think that I personally prefer UPLINK, as in Overcharge it can feel so frustrating, but I mean, hey, at least both options exist now in both of these game modes and can cater to both crowds. The other mode that they added is Occupy, and there's not a lot to explain here really. It's basically just a King of the Hill where a point moves around the map and you have to fight over it basically to the death. It's very hectic and very close quarters action, you're fighting around the point, so it's fun in its own right, but I think I'll dig UPLINK as my main game type at the moment, and once it goes live, over the other game modes, and we'll just have to see which one prevails as the most popular as the game goes on. There's also 2 new maps dropped in here, Red Falls and Trench, and basically all my gameplay in the background has been showing off these maps. I personally preferred Red Falls more than Trench. I did enjoy Trench quite a bit, but there was a lot of space to fall off of the edge and in the anti-gravity, and not so many spaces to fight on the ground or in sort of flanking. On Red Falls it did feel a little bit more that I was fighting across the whole map in some way. Both were cool though, and new maps are always nice. Anyway, what does everybody else think about Lawbreakers, about the new characters coming forwards, the new roles, the new maps, and the new game modes? And I hope everybody's enjoyed watching this, and I'm definitely going to be playing some more when it goes live. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more of my content, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching everybody. Joshino.